If there is one thing that Red Bull have always been able to nail, it is their race strategy. The team has been basically faultless for as long as most fans can remember. It is pretty rare that you win a race through a strategy call. Don't get me wrong, it does happen, just not very often. It is very easy to lose a race through bad strategy though. Just ask any Ferrari driver of the past 10 years. They'll tell you just how many podiums have been thrown away by baffling calls and missed opportunities. Sadly for Red Bull, the man pulling the strings on many of their greatest races has decided to make the move elsewhere. Today I'll check out how McLaren have completed a huge move to sign Courtney, and what it was like being on the inside of one of the greatest contract sagas of recent F1 history. So don't go anywhere. Making signings in Formula 1 is never an easy task. There are non-competes, gardening leave, and more contract clauses than you can shake a very expensive pen at, which need to be worked around. Drivers are bad enough, but when it comes to factory staff, it's on a completely different level. For the most senior members of staff, it isn't uncommon for contract disputes to head to the courts, as teams try to get their new staff members working with them as soon as possible. Adrian Newey was a very recent example of this when he left Red Bull for Aston Martin and took Red Bull to the courts to get out of his gardening leave, something he's done in the past with other job moves as well. The most recent Red Bull staff member who has had to fight his way out of contract clauses to make a move to his new team is Courtney. Courtney has secured an early release from his Red Bull contract to take up the sporting director role at McLaren, ending a protracted saga that threatened to keep the strategy expert sidelined until mid-2026. The 22-year-old Red Bull veteran announced his appointment via LinkedIn, bringing to a close one of the paddock's most closely watched contract disputes after former team principal Christian Horner's outfit initially refused to release their head of strategy. "I'm pleased to announce that I will be taking up a new position as sporting director at McLaren Racing," declared Courtney. Courtney's arrival represents a significant coup for Andrea Stella's team. His 15 years orchestrating Red Bull's race strategy, including their dominant periods under Adrian Newey's aerodynamic mastery, will provide McLaren with invaluable insight into their rival's tactical approach. The move has been an open secret since 2024, yet Horner's reluctance to release such a key figure threatened to keep McLaren waiting for much longer. Having been announced during the summer break 2 years ago, Courtney has spent a year and a half on the sidelines, watching his old team fall apart while his new employer has flourished. But the teams have now agreed to an earlier-than-expected release. After 22 years at Red Bull Racing, including the last 15 as head of race strategy, I am delighted to say that I'm now taking on a new challenge and joining the McLaren Formula 1 team as sporting director, Courtney explained in his announcement. "I want to say a huge thank you to everyone I worked with at Red Bull. I made so many great friends there, and I hope I will see many of you in the paddock many more times. It was 2 incredible decades, but now I look forward to settling into my new position and team, and hopefully making many more new friends, while doing my utmost to help McLaren continue its recent success in the years to come," Courtney concluded, outlining his ambitions for the Woking-based team's future campaigns. Courtney will report to McLaren Racing Director Randeep Singh as the Woking-based outfit looks to begin F1's new regulation cycle on the front foot, entering a season as both reigning drivers and constructors champions for the first time since 1999. Courtney will be taking charge of Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri at McLaren. In Oscar, he'll find a man who has gone through a similarly painful contract saga. Piastri actually opened up on that insane situation between Alpine and McLaren in the summer of 2022. Before I talk about that though, if you want to catch all the news and analysis as the new F1 cars get revealed over the next few weeks, then make sure to press the like button and subscribe to F1 Reverse. Thanks a lot. In 2022, Oscar Piastri posted a tweet that would go down in F1 legend. It was a revealing moment which showed the madness that was going on behind the scenes. When Alpine announced that Piastri was replacing Fernando Alonso for the 2023 season, there wasn't a huge amount of excitement. Alpine were a solidly midfield team, and Piastri was replacing the Renault legend as a relatively unknown rookie. However, he instantly won the hearts and minds of F1 fans worldwide when he tweeted to say that Alpine had announced he would be driving for them in 2023 without his permission, and that in fact, he would not be driving for them. For an established F1 driver to do that would have been amazing. For a driver looking for his first ever F1 seat, it was insanity. On a recent episode of Off the Grid, Piastri opened up about that whole saga. "It was certainly a tough time," Piastri said on the episode filmed in November. "Naturally, as a racing driver, you want to go racing. That year, not racing was tough, definitely. It did allow me to view some things from the outside a little bit easier, being part of a weekend, understanding what media commitments are going to be like, what the sponsor commitments are going to be like, just the general rhythm of the season. I learned a few things about that, but it was a tough time. I always kind of took pride in the fact that I was doing everything that I could, and I was always confident that something would come up." Luckily for Oscar, he had more than one opportunity come up. Alpine was facing a conundrum with 3 quality drivers for 2 seats, as Piastri was an obvious contender alongside incumbents Fernando Alonso and Esteban Ocon. Alpine considered loaning Piastri out to Williams until it emerged that Alonso would be moving to Aston Martin. The outfit then announced its protégé's promotion to a race seat, which the youngster stiffly denied. "I understand that, without my agreement, Alpine F1 have put out a press release late this afternoon that I'm driving for them next year," he wrote. "This is wrong, and I've not signed a contract with Alpine for 2023. I will not be driving for Alpine next year." It turned out that Piastri had already signed a contract with McLaren, and the FIA's Contract Recognition Board ruled in the Papaya team's favour. What made the situation more interesting was Alonso's contract. The 2-time world champion looked bound for Aston Martin for months before the contract was actually announced. It was finally announced just as a contract clause in Oscar's contract allowed him to sign for another team. It'll always be a question: did Alonso delay on purpose to screw over Alpine, to help out Oscar, or just to cause the chaos that he seems to love? "I kind of knew that it was going to be a pretty big story," Oscar smiled. "There were reasons for doing that. It wasn't just me going out of my ways to announce to the world that I'm not racing. I mean, I certainly look back on it now with some laughs. Definitely at the time it wasn't so funny. It obviously went to the CRB. Things were in my favour, but that was another pretty tense moment." This meant Oscar made his F1 debut with McLaren, not Alpine, in 2023. That was an incredible moment. Then also it kind of hits you that everything you've done previously almost doesn't matter now, he pointed out. It turned out to be 100% the correct decision. In that 2022 season, when the Piastri contract situation unfolded, Alpine were the better of the 2 teams. They finished 4th in the Constructors' Championship, 14 points ahead of McLaren, but the roles would quickly reverse. McLaren would score over double the points of Alpine in 2023. In 2024, McLaren were Constructors' Champions, while Alpine had just 65 points before the French team finished dead last in 2025, and it wasn't even close. At Alpine, Oscar would have been wasted, but at McLaren he has flourished, and if they can build another excellent car next season, then he'll be right in the fight for a first Drivers' Championship once again. Do you think he can do it next season? Can you imagine how wasted he would have been at Alpine? Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and until next time, drive safe and bye for now.